Eric, why is Dalvin Cook trying to hold out? What's going on, man?
Whoa.
Well, because he wants more money.
Get that part. But what is he thinking? What is he thinking as a running back in today's NFL on a fixed rookie contract? Why is he trying to hold out?
Especially with Madison there. I mean,
sure.
Come on.
Well, I think in a lot of ways the cards are kind of stacked against him the way the CBA is and things like that. Because if you actually don't show up now, the rule is if you don't show up for your first day of training camp, you don't log that year in terms of free agency. So he would then be a restricted free agent the following year, which means you can just tag him with the first round tender and sign him really cheap for one more year. So he really can't hold out from training camp that way. So there's a lot of things that are kind of stacked against him now. That all might be a moot point if they don't really have a training camp, or who knows what's going to happen. But he's trying to make a statement because I know they've been in talks about an extension and trying to figure that out, and they're not very close because I think the Vikings want to follow like a different kind of level of pay for running backs versus what, some of these guys are getting, like Zeke and stuff like that. So he's trying to make his own statement and trying to get that price back up. There's not a lot of leverage, not only with the CBA, but you mentioned Alexander Madison, who's their backup. He was a third-round pick, a rookie last year, had a pretty good year. He actually averaged more yards per carry than Dalvin Cook. Just a small point there. Sometimes when they're in the game, they both have dreads. I can't even tell the difference until I see their number. I mean, they have a very similar running style. I mean, Madison's a little more north and south, a little more physical, but Dalvin Cook's certainly physical along with his speed. But so I think, I don't know. I think he's worth signing, certainly, but you can't give him like $16 million a year like he wants. You also can't just give him like $10 million a year. You got to find some kind of ground there, and hopefully they can figure it out. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But he's got to make a statement somehow. There's just not a lot of leverage for him, I don't think.
Now, Mo, are you on board with them parting ways with Dalvin Cook and signing Aaron Jones next year, like Ben wants, so he can watch every Aaron Jones game?
I'm telling you that they can get Aaron Jones for less money, and he's a different dynamic type player than what Madison is. And you can have Madison do one thing and Jones be. That would scare the crap out of me as a Packer fan. But that's just me. Because Delvin, like you said, Dalvin Cook and Madison are like. There's time, like I watch the games, and Dalvin Cook is on my fantasy football team, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, yeah, nice run, and I'm looking, I'm like, crap, that's not freaking Cook. What the heck's going on? Where is it Cook in the game? Get Cook in the game. I need some points. Got mad a bunch of times because I'm watching the game, and Madison's running like 25 yards, and I'm like, why is he running the ball? Wait a minute, they're in the red zone. Get Cook back in. Get Cook back in. So I'm telling you, this is a bad move by Cook. Bad move. That's just me.
I mean, there's no winning here, right? I mean, Melvin Gordon tried it, didn't work for him.
Right. It's very similar to Melvin Gordon's situation, right? Because
Eckler.
Eckler, right? Who's a great, running back also. They really still like Melvin Gordon, but they just couldn't pay him that much. So, they had to find some kind of middle ground. So unless that happens, he might, well, the thing is, if he holds out, then he's restricted next year. You slap a first round tender on him, someone else signs him. Okay, we'll take the first round pick and move on. Go with Madison, maybe sign Aaron Jones. I don't know.
There's a bunch of running backs out of that draft. Like Alvin Kamara is a free agent after this year. Yep. Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook. There's more than that. There's like a ton of them, and they're all really good, and they're all like. And the scariest part is, like, they need to realize the teams and the players. If like this is my hope, is that Aaron Jones and he gets with his agent, and they're like, listen, here's a scoop. I know you're probably good enough to get $12 million a year on the open market, maybe, right? But you can keep what you've got here with this team, and maybe if we ask for $8 million a year for 4 years, with most of it guaranteed or whatever it is, and you stay with the team that you trust and because it's not just you that might hit the open market. There's like 10 guys that are actually all pretty dang good running backs that are all going to be like 26, 27 years old. And right at the prime of their football career, that are all going to be either free agents or have to sign back with their team. And it's one of those things where it's either going to drive the price way down, and they're all going to make $8 million a year anyway because there's so many of them, or it's going to drive the price way up. And it's up to them if they want to take that crapshoot, these running backs, these players, because historically the last couple of years, you sign a big running back to a second big contract, or his first big contract, a second contract. and they don't produce. I mean, Gurley fell off a cliff, and Ezekiel Elliott did okay last year, but not the greatest. Now they did McCaffrey, and he's the only reason why they did him 2 years early, because he actually was a first round pick, so they could have waited a whole another year before they gave him an extension. But they did because he's the whole damn team. So these other guys, like I got some stats I want to get into later, but there's so many question marks with these running backs that are in their third year, going into their fourth year now, and their contracts are up. There's a bunch of them, and there are a lot of really good. They're all the good guys are like right there, and it's going to come to a point where the teams and the players need to like realize, okay, we want you back. Look at what's out there. Look what could be out there. You might not be getting exactly what you think you're going to get, and if they let them go and see what they can get, hopefully they'll come back to the team that they started with if they get a decent deal. But I just don't think holding out is the right move right now when you've got a good guy who's just behind you like the Vikings. Like if Aaron Jones held out right now, that'd be a dumb move. You got A.J. Dillon they just drafted, and they got Jamal Williams. And if he doesn't play and produce again, because he's only had 1 year, that's the other thing with Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
He got hurt the first 2 years of his career. He only had 1 full year last year. So what does he really have to hold on to? He needs to prove it to him again that he can not get hurt this year and play. And that's the other thing about, I don't get it.
He still got dinged up last year too, and they're wondering if that's going to be a lingering injury. And I think 1,100 yards. He had 13 touchdowns, but and like 500 yards receiving. So definitely a breakout year, but nowhere close to that the previous 2 years just because of injury. So it is one of those things where running backs know they don't have a long shelf life in the NFL, and they're trying to get as much as they can. I think that 10 to 12 million range is reasonable for a top tier running back, but I don't think you can get up to that 14, 16 a year range unless you have someone like a CMC who does everything so well, who's like a running back and receiver in one, that is, like you said, their whole offense. So I think until that price comes down to where, at least right now in the NFL, where running back is valued, you can't really go over 10 or 12 million. That's just too much.